Matt, thanks for once again pinch hitting for Congressman LaTourette this week.
Sure thing.
So normally we kind of spend more time talking about policy than about politics, but we're a little over a week and a half out from the midterm elections.
Thank God.
Right, you're ready for it to be over, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we thought we'd do is actually take some time today and this week just to talk about the lay of the land, a couple of the key governor's races, update in the Senate and an update in the House. So it's all politics all the time this week. So let's start with the governor's races. I picked out these four in particular because they're four states where McDonald Hopkins has offices. And I want to start with two swing states where there's two entirely different types of races going on. The swing state of Florida, where former Governor Charlie Crist is deadlocked in a race with the current Republican Governor Rick Scott. And then Ohio, another swing state where it's not even close at all.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about these two races.
Well, I'll start with Ohio because it's a little bit more entertaining. Not because, I'm a Democrat and knowing that we're going to lose, but you have incumbent John Kasich, who in 2011, people thought that he was just ripe for taking out in the 2014 cycle. He had just lost convincingly a referendum regarding public sector unions, and a loss by over 60%, and that really was a very unpopular moment for him. But slowly but surely, he's been gaining back his popularity. The Democrats put forward a young, energetic gentleman, Ed Fitzgerald, who they think has a really good shot, and then his campaign has been pretty awful, and then culminating in what was one of those unforgivable. In 2012, he was pulled over by the police in a back of a car at 4:30 in the morning. Most people in the back of the car, it's hard to drive back there, so he's got to be doing something else with a woman who was not his wife. So that came out, and that just really was the nail in the coffin. So that's done. I think Kasich will win by probably about 20 points or more. Complete opposite side is Florida, which is a real dead heat right now between incumbent Rick Scott, the Republican, and former Governor Charlie Crist, who's a Democrat who used to be a Republican. He also used to be an independent. He's kind of bounced around different political parties over the years. And that's a real contrast in styles. You have Crist, who's very polished, very smooth, I think you'd say, against Scott, who is kind of awkward, has a very unique style, but he's a businessman who has a great deal of personal wealth that he's able to bring to the table as well. He was swept up in the 2010 Republican wave, and some people at the time thought he wasn't ready for prime time. He's made some political and policy moves that have been questionable. The economy has not done as well as he had hoped, but people are still a little bit apprehensive about Charlie Crist. They're kind of skeptical of somebody who's been kind of in different positions so many times in the past, and so they're going to really be battling it out. I think you're going to see it's so important not just for 2014 but also 2016. The governor of Florida always has a very prominent role in helping whatever candidate, Republican or Democrat, is trying to win Florida's critical votes in 2016. So that's a real interesting one to watch. Right now is literally a dead heat. I think most polls have it either tied or within 1 or 2 points. So they're going to really be battling it out for those key voters in the I-4 corridor from the suburbs of Tampa through the suburbs of Orlando.
Well, and now I want to turn attention to two traditionally Democratic states, Illinois and Michigan, both with incumbent governors, one a Republican, one a Democrat, that are in trouble. Let's start with Michigan. I know that there was a lot of hope among Democrats that this would be a cycle where they could knock out the Republican governor, Snyder, but Snyder's been ahead. I've seen some new polling today that actually shows the race tightening. Talk to us a little bit about Michigan.
So Michigan, for a state that nationally is almost always blue, when it comes to governors, it's actually always a very tight race, and you have incumbent Rick Snyder, who's going against former Congressman Mark Schauer. And looking at this objectively, I think it's just really hard for Schauer. I think that Snyder has not done anything that you would call unforgivable, something where an undecided voter says this guy's done something so bad that we got to kick him out. So I think Snyder has pretty much run a very good governorship to this point. He's an accountant, so he's really focused on a lot of issues like business tax reform. But he's faced a lot of criticism about higher education, things of that nature. But overall, I think right now it's looking like Snyder's probably going to be able to close this one out. He's up about 4 points in most polls, somewhere around there, which is a good place to be. He's going to want to close out with the suburbs of Macomb County, Oakland County, and win those crucial votes, and because they know the Democrats are going to try to really pat it in Wayne County. So we'll wait and see, but right now I think Snyder's definitely got the inside track.
So we'll close out our conversation about the governor's races with Illinois. Illinois, where it seems like governors get elected and then go directly to prison. There really seems to be this pattern here. I mean, it's unbelievable. This is a bipartisan thing with Illinois and governors. A lot of people have said, I've worked on campaigns in Illinois, that Illinois is an ungovernable state. The incumbent Democratic governor, Quinn, has been incredibly unpopular.
Right.
His numbers have been terrible throughout his term. It was looking like the businessman, Bruce Renner, who was running against him, ran a really good campaign. He was ahead for much of the race. The last few weeks, though, it looks like the Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents may be coming home, and Quinn may actually survive this.
Well, I was just out in Chicago last week, and I was able to get, for a few days, get a glimpse of exactly what people in Illinois are experiencing, and heavy air time. You got a lot of TV commercials, and I think you've got kind of again a very traditional contrast. You have the Republicans portraying Quinn as part of the old Illinois machine, kind of old school, and then you have the Democrats trying to portray Runner as very successful, wealthy businessman who's kind of out of touch with ordinary Illinoisans. And I have a feeling that Illinoisans are very willing to split the ticket. And there hasn't been since the 90s, there hasn't been a Republican or a Democrat to be able to serve out a full 2 terms. So for the fact that Quinn right now is running for a second term, history shows that it could be a bad night for him. But overall, I think it is a dead heat right now. I think actually Quinn does have the momentum right now from where he was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. But still, there's about a little less than 2 weeks left for things to change. But we've also seen a great deal of improvement on both the Democratic and Republican sides as far as their ground game and their ability to get their voters to the polls. And it's a coin flip, but I kind of get the sense, having seen it, that I think they just released a secret tape from Quinn telling people that there's going to be a massive tax increase in November, December. Anytime you get a secret recording about tax increases,
it's not good.
It's not good. So I think that might actually be the tipping point that might give Ronner the governor's seat. So
now let's quickly move on to the House and the Senate. In the House, Republicans are in control. Everyone expects Republicans are going to maintain control. The question is, are they going to build on this majority? What are your thoughts?
I think they will build on the majority, and if I had to give a number, I'd say probably somewhere between 6 and 12 additional seats from where they are right now, and that's really good for somebody like John Boehner. Speaker Boehner knows that the seats that they'd be picking up, they're not going to be Tea Party candidates replacing Democrats. It's going to be more traditional Republicans, and that's what he wants. He wants to be able to get more votes that he can rely on when he comes to those really important negotiations with the White House. He knows he's going to have to deal with Barack Obama for 2 more years, so if they're going to get anything done, he's going to need the votes, and he needs to feel the confidence that a speaker needs to know that when he's negotiating, he can come from a position of strength. So I do think they'll pick up seats, and for the Republicans, there are going to be seats that they're going to feel good about because he's not going to be, sabotaged as some people have, kind of alleged over the past 4 years.
So we'll close with the Senate. Things just keep getting crazier and crazier in these Senate races. So you would think it was a very good week for Republicans because now it looks like New Hampshire's in play, which is just absolutely crazy for me to think that Jeanne Shaheen could lose. But at the same time, you've got polling out now and the DSCC pouring money into Kentucky and Georgia, 2 places where we thought Republicans would be safe at this point. And certainly in Kentucky, where last week we were talking about this race was over and that McConnell had it in the bag. So at the end of the day, with all that's going on, do you think Republicans end up with the magic 51 seats?
So the last time we had this discussion, I think, I said that I think the Democrats would hold control at 50-50. And I'm starting to think that that's not going to happen. I think the numbers are skewing stronger and stronger, that the likelihood is that the Republicans will take over. But it really comes down to race by race. How do things play out? Again, going back to this ground idea of how you get out your vote, where traditionally Democrats in the past 8 years have kind of had that advantage. But at this point, I think Republicans have made advances technologically, trying to kind of adapt to what the Democrats have done. And so it really is race by race. But as you go race by race, though, the little things that usually break in favor of the winner are going toward the Republicans. So I do think the Republicans will end up taking control, probably about 52 seats. So, just a small majority. They're still going to have a difficult time trying to stay united if they do win. But yeah, all those little races that you think you have closed out, they pop back up. And for both sides, it's just they're pulling their hair out saying, why can't we get this done?
Well, the best thing for all of us is that this will be over soon.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
Can't wait.
Thanks once again.